Have you ever stopped to question if you're truly living the life you dream of? An 80-year-old man who has faced life's highs and lows now opens up about the powerful lessons he's learned through failure, struggle, and happiness. His insights won't just make you think, they'll change how you see yourself. He reminds us that life is full of unexpected turns, but with the right values, we can always navigate through. Life doesn't always go as planned, he says, but holding on to the right principles will always show you the way. His wisdom offers a rare look into a life fully lived, leaving you to reflect on your own journey. Watch now and discover life from the perspective of someone who has truly embraced every moment. Life is rarely a smooth melody. Instead, it unfolds as a symphony of light and shadow, constantly balancing between what should be done and what absolutely should not. After navigating enough ups and downs, one comes to realize that, at times, it is not the right action that prevents mistakes, but rather a timely pause. Understanding what to avoid is the first step toward leading a life that is kind, aware, and responsible toward oneself. Living a life of value doesn't solely revolve around chasing grand ambitions, but also requires the courage to reject things that aren't worth the pursuit. Some boundaries must be established, not out of weakness, but out of clarity about where one is headed and who they aspire to become. The word "don't," a small word that seems to negate, actually serves as a subtle guide, steering individuals away from distractions that could cause them to lose their way. It is often said that success doesn't come from doing everything, but from knowing what to avoid. And through experience, one learns that each don't carries a lesson, a warning, or a valuable experience that, if disregarded, could cost significant portions of one's life. That is why sharing these 7 don'ts is important, not to limit, but to remind others of the things to steer clear of, so they won't have regrets when looking back. In the movie Dead Poets Society, Mr. Keating once said, "There is a time for daring and a time for caution." And it seems that the word "don't" serves as a reminder for those moments when caution is necessary. It helps us maintain our balance in the face of repeated mistakes and the rush of actions that can pull us away from what matters most, being kind and true to ourselves. This journey is not one walked alone. There's a desire to have others walk alongside through each don't, so that we may become sharper in our choices, stronger when faced with temptations, and gentler with ourselves. Because sometimes, just one don't at the right time can save an entire life. Thus, the first don't begins, a reminder that may sound familiar, but the more one lives, the more they understand its true weight. Don't underestimate anyone. Life moves, flowing like a river, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent. The person who stands behind today may not be the same one who steps forward tomorrow. One is reminded of the saying, "The river has bends and people have their moments." A gentle, yet profound reminder. On this journey, every person carries a unique treasure. Some quietly nurture small dreams. Others fight silently to rise above themselves. And some are simply waiting for the right moment to shine. Anyone can be a flower. It may just not be their season to bloom yet. Underestimating others happens when we unknowingly shrink them through the lens of our own limited perspective. In this life, everyone is in a state of not yet finished, including me and including you. Judgment only narrows our view, while respect opens us up to understanding the deeper layers of a person. True intelligence, it seems, doesn't lie in fluent speech or grand titles, but in humility, the ability to avoid rushing to judge someone by their appearance or current circumstances. The story of J.K. Rowling is one that will always be remembered. Once a single mother, unemployed, and living on welfare, she spent her days writing stories in small cafes in Edinburgh. If anyone had seen her then, no one would have believed that this fragile woman would one day pen Harry Potter and change the literary world forever. But she did. And now, no one dares to underestimate her. Then there's Steve Jobs, who was fired from the very company he founded. But he didn't give up. Instead, he founded Next, bought Pixar, and eventually returned to Apple, where he became a game changer. A man who had faced monumental failure became a global icon of creativity and technological revolution. This goes to show that life doesn't measure anyone by their present situation. Since learning this lesson, there's been a shift, listening more, looking deeper, and refraining from making judgments. Every person who crosses our path has a lesson to offer. Perhaps today they are not standing out, but who knows? Tomorrow, they may be the ones to open a door we never imagined possible. I believe that when we live with respect for both those we've never met and those who have hurt us, we are growing. We grow in character, in wisdom, and in our perception of life. After learning not to underestimate anyone, another lesson surfaced. One that also carries a don't, but is no less profound. Don't dream too far without action. There was a time when it seemed enough to dream big enough, to desire strongly enough, and believe that everything wished for would eventually come true. But the reality is a dream without action is like a cloud drifting lazily through the sky, beautiful but destined to dissipate in the wind. A dream, in my view, should be like a seed. If not planted with concrete steps, it remains dormant in the imagination forever. The Chinese proverb says, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step," and there is no truer saying than this. One can imagine a bright future, but without taking that first step, the dream remains nothing more than an illusion. Every peak is built from small stones, from steady, consistent steps. There is no rushing, no boasting. There was once a time when grandiose ideas took over, thoughts of what one would do or become. But then, it became clear that progress wasn't happening, as the focus had been solely on visualizing the path, while forgetting to take that crucial first step. From there, the lesson learned was to proceed step by step, cautiously and steadily, much like a musician practicing each note or an athlete diligently working each day to build stamina. A story that often resonates is that of Elon Musk, who once slept on the floor of Tesla's workshop, working with his team to perfect the smallest details of the production line. A man with a vision for Mars, yet who began by fixing each screw in an electric car. This is a dream with direction, grounded in action, and the results speak for themselves. Over time, it became clear that living means looking far ahead, but never forgetting the ground one stands on. Each day brings a simple reflection. How many small steps have been taken today? What has been built for the road ahead? If the answer is none, then it becomes a sign to return to reality, not to blame, but to start anew. Dreams only truly come alive when we take the first step to make them real. It doesn't matter how grand the beginning is, the key is to begin. The seemingly small actions we take today form the foundation for a tomorrow we can be proud of. This might seem like a minor point, but it holds enough weight to bring us to our knees if we're not careful. Do not blame fate, your circumstances, or anyone else, because life has never been absolutely fair to anyone. The person with more advantages than you might not be happier, and the one who faces fewer struggles may not be stronger. But the person who doesn't harbor resentment, who dares to rise from adversity, is the one with the true chance to change everything. No one can live our life for us. No one else is responsible for our lives but ourselves. No matter how low our starting point or how harsh our environment, how we choose to live is entirely up to us. We must be the captains of our own ships, steering our lives, rather than waiting for calm seas or blaming the heavens when storms arise. Complaining is the easiest way to avoid action. It gives temporary relief, but in the long run, it kills our fighting spirit. I've seen people live their entire lives recounting what they don't have, instead of using what they do have. But then there are people like Nick Vujicic, born without arms or legs, who became a global symbol of inspiration simply because he chose to act rather than complain. Whenever the urge to complain arises, the reminder is simple. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I do next?" This small shift in perspective opens up a different path. It might be a small path, perhaps rough, but it is a path chosen, not one that circumstances dictate. A lesson learned from Steve Jobs is this: the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. The world here may only refer to our own small world, but changing it begins with the first step, stopping the blame and starting the action. It's important to remember that the people who dare to stand tall amid the storm are the ones who make life truly worth living. And if anyone is responsible for one's happiness or sadness, it should only be oneself. After stopping the habit of blaming and adopting a more proactive mindset, it became clear challenges are an inseparable part of life. They aren't meant to crush us, but to make us stronger. Obstacles, whether they are painful falls or failures that seem impossible to recover from, are simply the tests that fate places in our path to determine if we have the resilience to keep going. Difficulties act as the furnace that tempers human endurance and willpower. Everyone gets tired at some point, and everyone faces moments when they want to quit. But only those who don't falter are the ones who ultimately achieve the results they deserve. A quote from boxing champion Muhammad Ali always resonates. "I hate every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion." Not everyone is born strong, but anyone has the potential to train themselves into strength. And the miracle lies in the fact that sometimes it's during the hardest times that we discover strengths we never knew we had. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, failed over 1,000 times before achieving success. When asked about his failures, he calmly responded, "I have not failed. I just found 1,000 ways that won't work." From that, it became clear perseverance doesn't mean avoiding failure. It means continuing to move forward, no matter how many times you fall. There have been times when everything seemed to turn against us. But rather than turning away, the decision was made to face it head on. It started with small steps, building positive habits, and taking daily actions. Gradually, these difficulties became the foundation that made resilience grow stronger. It's like climbing a mountain. The higher one climbs, the stronger the wind becomes. But if someone stays at the base out of fear of heights, they will never discover what awaits at the summit. Patience acts as the compass that keeps one from losing their way in the storm. Even though progress may feel slow at times, the key is to never stop. Nothing can defeat a person who keeps moving forward, even if it's only one step at a time. So, whenever exhaustion sets in, there's a reminder. This is not the end. It's just another journey that must be crossed to grow stronger. And with that, the journey continues, not faster than anyone else, but steadier than the person who was there the day before. Among the many choices faced daily, there are moments when a decision must be made, to live true to oneself or to take the easy, shallow route. There was a time when it seemed enough to simply avoid doing wrong, but time revealed a deeper lesson. The deceit in our feelings, the ambiguity in our actions, is also a form of betrayal. In this life, there is no shortage of talented, clever people who know how to navigate relationships. However, the difference between someone trustworthy and someone to be cautious of lies in one key factor: consistency and loyalty. A person may not be the smartest or the most outstanding, but if they are steady, they will be the ones trusted in the long term. This is because no one wants to place their trust in someone who shifts with the wind, someone who doesn't even know where they stand. The character of Ned Stark from Game of Thrones often comes to mind. A man so upright that he was willing to sacrifice his life to uphold his principles. Many thought him too rigid, but anyone who has witnessed the cost of betrayal would understand that loyalty is not an easy choice. It's a sacrifice, sometimes a painful one. But because of that sacrifice, it is worth it. For example, there was once a collaboration with someone who constantly tried to please everyone. At first, this flexibility was admirable. But little by little, it became clear that behind the flowery words was a lack of commitment. when trouble arose, he was always the first to withdraw or remain silent. That's when it became apparent. Being of two minds isn't just dishonesty to others. It's a way of betraying oneself. The truth is, no one can stand firm on two shores at once. A choice must be made. One side represents sincerity, the other, short-term convenience. And this choice will shape who one becomes. Perhaps the loyal person will lose more than the clever one, but they gain something priceless, inner peace. When living honestly, there's no need to remember what was said to whom. When being consistent, there's no fear of loss because what is preserved is dignity. Living with one heart, in love, in friendship, or in ideals, may not be perfect, but it is undoubtedly the right thing. And that, in itself, is enough. Who among us has never stumbled? No matter how cautious one is with each step, mistakes can still trip them up. And when looking back, there are countless moments when one might ask oneself, what if I could go back and start over? But if that were possible, perhaps nothing would be learned. Mistakes are an inseparable part of everyone's journey toward growth. For a long time, there was much time and energy spent blaming the past. Living in the shadow of wrong decisions felt like constantly looking back, forgetting that new opportunities always await ahead. One day, a realization struck that when the past lingers, it is because it was allowed to control life. Why continue living in the realm of what cannot be changed? Instead of sinking into the sorrow of past mistakes, the decision was made to use them as lessons to move forward. A saying often recalled is, every mistake is a step closer to success. And this is truly accurate. Mistakes are not the end. They are opportunities to reflect, correct, and change one's perspective. The successful people admired aren't those who never fail, but those who have the ability to rise after every fall. As Thomas Edison once said, I have not failed. I just found 10,000 ways that won't work. It is persistence and the ability to learn from imperfection that leads to great progress. There is a story of a man who faced numerous failures in his career. After each setback, he stood up again, never giving in or looking back with regret. He lost everything, but he didn't allow the past to hold him down. Each day, he learned from his mistakes and refused to let them weigh him down. After years of relentless effort, he succeeded. His journey serves as a clear testament that the past doesn't define one's destiny. What is done in the present shapes the future. Now, when thinking about the past, there is no longer sadness or regret. It is accepted because it is understood that only by learning from mistakes can one move forward. Every mistake is a valuable lesson, and life will always present new opportunities, as long as the focus remains on moving forward. Life is not a deep pit that one must curl up and hide in forever. If all that's seen are limits, and if the present is accepted as the only reality, progress will never be made. The harsh reality, no matter how challenging it may seem, is just a small piece of the bigger picture of life. Yet, there have been countless times when it felt like being trapped in the past, trying to find comfort within challenges instead of stepping outside the comfort zone. Everyone has faced moments when life felt overwhelmingly tough, when work seemed stagnant, and relationships felt like they were going nowhere. But focusing solely on the difficulties in front of us limits progress. If the focus is only on the present and not on broadening one's perspective, how can greater dreams ever be realized? The truth is, to achieve success, it's not just about being cautious with every step, but also about having the courage to dream and challenge oneself to push beyond perceived limits. Caution is necessary, but it should never suffocate dreams. Stepping out of one's comfort zone to face the unknown can be a difficult decision, but progress is impossible without taking risks. Failure and setbacks might happen, but what matters is the courage to try. Just as a soldier cannot win a battle unless they dare to fight, new discoveries and growth can't be made unless one dares to take risks. A story comes to mind of a man who failed in numerous jobs before finding his true passion. He spent many days in pain, unsure of what to do, uncertain about the future. But instead of succumbing to sorrow, he chose to stand up, seek new opportunities, and persist in his beliefs. Slowly, with patience and determination, he overcame his challenges. He didn't live an ordinary life. He became a role model for those brave enough to face their own difficulties. In the end, it becomes clear, no matter how tough life may seem, as long as one holds on to passion and enthusiasm and keeps moving forward, no barrier will be too great to overcome. Don't let present difficulties limit your mindset and future. Instead, expand your horizons, embrace courage, and bravely walk the path you choose. In reflecting on this journey through 7 valuable reminders, it becomes clear that every don't we encounter carries a profound life lesson. The things we should avoid, the mistakes we must steer clear of, are not mere warnings. They're clues to help us evolve into the best versions of ourselves. Don't underestimate others. Don't let arrogance or snap judgments cloud your ability to recognize and respect everyone's value. Don't dream of things too far-fetched. Don't let unrealistic dreams deceive you into thinking they are attainable without action. Don't blame life. Remember, each of us is the one who decides our destiny. Don't shrink from challenges. Trials are the stepping stones that help us soar higher. Don't be two-faced. Sincerity is the solid bridge that connects relationships. Don't dwell on past mistakes. Turn those failures into valuable lessons to grow. Finally, don't confine yourself to a narrow reality. Dare to dream and expand your vision to keep moving forward. All of these reminders point to the importance of reflection in life. Each piece of advice is not merely a simple statement, but a life principle that helps us grow stronger in our pursuit of happiness and success. We cannot live forever in regret or fear. Instead of burying ourselves in past failures, we must find ways to rise and continue walking. Progress does not come from waiting. It comes from relentless effort. The final piece of advice is this: always believe in yourself, dare to face challenges, and never stop striving to improve each day. When you trust in your abilities, nothing is impossible. Live a complete life. Don't let the don'ts limit you, but instead, let them be the keys that open new doors to your future. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. The lessons from a man over 80 years old are not just simple advice. They're valuable life principles that we can apply in our daily lives. I'm sure that each of us can learn and grow from challenges, living more fully each day. Try applying these lessons in your life, and don't forget to share your story with us. We always want to listen and share your experiences, creating videos and messages that can help you solve problems and reach better things. If you find this video useful, don't hesitate to like, share, and comment with your thoughts below. Let us know what you think, and if you don't want to miss the next valuable content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We're always here, walking with you on the path of development and growth. Thank you once again. And always remember, this life is yours. Live it fully.